Happy New Year's, guys! You might be wondering what these strings are hanging off of this. I knitted this myself. Now, this video is not to toot my own horn. Actually, there is a very interesting story behind this sweater. And I want you guys to keep it in mind when you're making your New Year's resolutions. A lot of us have New Year's resolutions about losing weight. Whether it's to get healthier, that's fine. But a lot of us do these New Year's resolutions because we don't like ourselves and we have low self-esteem, or we're trying to make others around us happier, make others around us like us more, because we'll look more attractive if we're not thick or chunky or chubby or whatever. Well, I started this sweater in September of 2013, and I've only just now finished it. um, and this is very much like a personal video. This isn't so much a how-to. Um, so if you're wondering how to make this sweater, I'll link the pattern in the description for you. As you can see, I haven't bothered to weave the ends in yet because it's fresh off my hook. Hook needles. But after all these years, I fit it fine without the stitches looking super duper stretched out. Like when I first made it, it looks kind of like that. Like, I don't know if you can kind of tell, but like it's just doesn't look as nice as the stitches just laying flat. Now, I was 180 something pounds when I started this sweater in 2013, and I stopped when I got to the stomach. I even knitted the sleeves. I knitted the sleeves to about here. I made them half sleeves or quarter sleeves or whatever. And I decided I wanted to make them long sleeves recently. This is all recent work, as you can see. But for 2 years or 2.5 or so years, this sweater sat in a box. And then I picked it up again when I was around like 160, but I was fluctuating between 150 and 160 because I have a thyroid disorder and my medication wasn't on point. So when I finally took it out a couple years ago, I was like, I just finished it. I didn't do any more stomach increases. I didn't make it to fit myself. And I just told myself that I was going to give it to my sister. But I loved this sweater. I picked out this yarn. I made this sweater for me. This was a project of love for myself. And so I couldn't bring myself to weave in any of the ends on it, right? So, I mean, I got little scratchy pieces of yarn inside of this right now because I never wove in the ends to finish it, to give it to her. And that's how it has been sitting for the remaining 2.5 years previous. So, because I loved it so much, I didn't really want to give it away. And I'll just tell you a little something about knitting sweaters. So you get to the bust and then you start doing decreases. You're making it slimmer. And I had to deviate from the pattern a lot, which is what made me feel so bad about myself, was that I had way less decrease rows. I had to stop right here, halfway through the decrease rows, because your decreases were supposed to run to here, to your waist. But I kind of had more of a this shape and not so much of a this shape that I have right now. 40 pounds makes a difference. So I had to stop mine here way sooner. And I actually had to, and like usually you get here, you leave it for about 10 or 12 rows, depending on your pattern and what yarn you're using. You leave it for about 10 rows and then you start doing your increases. I had to start doing my increases immediately after. I have my decrease cinch right here. This is the part of your body where you are the thinnest. And then I immediately had to start doing increases because I had more of this shape. And just the act of doing those increases made me feel so bad about myself. And I still struggle with self-esteem. Of course, it's much better now that I'm in therapy and I've been working on it. But it was such a struggle because I was adding all of these stitches. So my rounds were physically taking longer and longer to knit, but mentally it was taking me longer and longer to knit until I just quit. And I stopped at right about here. Right? I stopped right about here, and that's whenever my first long 2.5 year break with this sweater started. And when I picked it up to give it to my sister, I just knit it all the way down, and I made it, let me lower this camera a little bit, and I made it super long to make it a dress. And as you can see, this is what it looks like whenever the stitches are way, way, way too stretched out. That's not how it is supposed to look. I'm actually going to have to undo this up to about here, and then just, because I'm not going to make it a dress, right? But you can see what I was working with here. This was all just one big box. This was how big I was around, right? I didn't have so much a hip glass pear-shaped thing. I had more of like a little apple, a big little apple going like this, you know, and like maybe I'm being hard on myself. I probably am. But I also feel like this isn't something that a lot of people, when they knit and crochet or if they sew their own clothes, we don't really talk about this aspect of it. You're very body conscious when you're making something to form fit yourself. And I don't want anyone else to have a sweater in their project box for 2+ years, certainly not 5 years like myself. You know, if you've been a stable weight for a certain length of time, love yourself, accept yourself for who you are. If you want to make a dietary change for your health or to improve your health, that's great. But if you're trying to please others around you, or if you're doing it because you don't like yourself, you're going to fall off the wagon. I certainly didn't go on a diet because I felt like I was fat. I went on a diet over this summer because I have IBS. As a result of chronic stress and unchecked anxiety. And it literally felt like my guts were turning inside out inside of my body. Every time I ate, I felt sick. I went on the low FODMAP elimination diet, but I had pretty much hit rock bottom in my physical health before I went to go see a gastroenterologist, and I was in so much pain before I went to go, and I had lost so much weight at that point. And I did, it's so funny, I did gain about 5 pounds back from being on the low FODMAP diet, but I did look thinner than what I was before I started because the bloating was so bad. I solved my problem with my sweaters. I just let it sit in a box for 5 years until all of this happened, and then I had time on my hands this winter break from school that I was like, I'm the skinniest I have ever been. Let's tackle those fucking sweaters. Let's get those sweaters done. So I never actually solved my problem. And I wish I had tips to help you to solve your problem if you've got a sweater in your box. The best thing I can say is that, like, a New Year's resolution to lose weight is not going to make you finish a project. It's not going to make you finish a sweater, or it's not going to make you finish sewing that dress or crocheting that whatever, that tank top, whatever. It's not going to make you love yourself. A New Year's resolution to accept and love yourself for who you are has so much better of a chance than a diet, especially these fad diets. Fad diets are not helpful. They can actually crash your health, like your actual physical health. They can bring all these problems up that you never knew you had before. Oh, you're not taking in the same amount of iron every day? Oh, you're suddenly going to have these pounding headaches and migraines, and you're going to wonder what the fuck is wrong with you. Magnesium deficiency is a huge deficiency that a lot of people have and don't realize. Zinc is another one. You know, and these fad diets can adversely affect your health. So if it's a self-esteem issue, tackle it at its source. Don't try to solve what you think the outer problem is. Self-esteem requires inner work, right? And I'm working on that right now with my therapist, even though I am the skinniest I have ever been in my life. Still working on it because, yeah, you know, inadvertently, through unforeseen health problems, I have solved the problem of my belly. It didn't solve the problem with my self-esteem. Yeah, I'm finishing my sweaters. I feel great about my knitting skills, right? Look how cute this is. But I don't feel cute in it all the time, right? Because that requires inner work. It's a self-esteem problem. So now I'm just reiterating, I'm being so redundant, but if you have a project like this, I urge you to make that your New Year's resolution instead. Like, finish this project. Finish your sweater, your dress, whatever hidden shameful thing you have in a box that you feel like you can't do because you don't deserve it right now. You deserve it right now, just the way you are, just the way your body looks right now. You deserve it. I fucking wish I had finished this sweater even just 2 years ago, right? Even just 1 year ago, I would have loved to finish this sweater, but it has sadly taken me 5 years, and I just don't want to see other people make the same mistake as me. I know this is very different from my bullet journaling stuff, but I hope you found it motivational. I hope you found it keen to your problems that you're having. If you have any comments or suggestions, or if you're in a similar position or have been in a similar position, share your own tips, since I don't really have anything for you other than working on your own self-esteem. Don't let your sweater sit in a box for 5 years. It's not good for your yarn either. I'll be honest. But I hope you guys have a wonderful new year planned out ahead of you. And I hope you get all of the projects done that your heart desires, because you deserve them.